Thinking about moving to Rochester, Minnesota? Well, in this video, we're gonna go over the 5 things that I love most about Rochester and 5 things that I would change about living here in Rochester, Minnesota. And we're starting right now. Hi, this is Joe Eslait with Casa Real Estate, and in this channel, we talk about all things real estate and everything you need to know about moving to Rochester. So the number one thing I love about living here in Rochester is that we have the Mayo Clinic basically in our backyard. Hopefully you don't have to come to Rochester as a patient at Mayo Clinic, but if you have to have some sort of medical procedure or need any advice, you have Mayo Clinic, which is the number one hospital here in the United States. And the other thing that I really like about having the Mayo Clinic here is that Mayo Clinic attracts people from everywhere in the world that are diverse, smart, professional, with different skills and backgrounds. And I think that diversity makes living here in Rochester a lot of fun. The number two thing that I love about living here in Rochester, Minnesota is that in 2013, the plan called the Destination Medical Center, or DMC, was announced, and this is a plan where within the next 20 years, or starting in 2013, the city and other private organizations are investing around $5 billion to the city of Rochester to promote more businesses, more jobs, and just to help the city grow and be a destination for medicine, which I think is really cool. And since I've lived here in Rochester, I've definitely already seen a big impact in more things to do, more restaurants. It's just become a lot more fun and well-rounded city. The number three thing I love about Rochester is that there is virtually no traffic compared to most bigger or metropolitan cities. And the commute time here in Rochester is also very short. It's about 16 minutes compared to the US average of 26 minutes. So it's very easy to get around the city, and you're almost never gonna really experience a lot of traffic, which to me means that I have more time to get errands done, to spend with my family or my friends, and just to be able to have more fun. The fourth thing that I love about Rochester are the community events that they have here in the summer as well as in the winter. My favorite one is called Thursdays on Downtown, which is in the summer. They set up every Thursday live bands, and they have food vendors and a lot of like little like shops where they sell like art and really cool and unique things that you won't find anywhere else. And to me, this is like my favorite thing to do. And you can go with your friends, your family, even if you go for 30 minutes or longer. It's just a really good time to socialize and be out in the summer. There are other things to do. I'm going to put a list of the different events and things that go on in Rochester throughout the year on the video details below. And the fifth thing about Rochester that I really love is that it's a very safe place to live in, and it's also ranked as one of the top places to raise a family. So Rochester is ranked 11 out of 100 as far as safety, and the national average for safety is around 22. So we're a lot safer than most cities in the US, and we're a great place, again, to raise a family. So now let's talk about the 5 things that I would change about living here in Rochester. So number one, and kind of a pretty obvious one, is the winter. Winter season here starts in November and extends all the way up to March. April, maybe May. We've had months, or we've had years here in Rochester where we get snow in May. Usually by then, you see the light at the end of the tunnel with the cold weather, and so it's not too bad. But January, February, March can be pretty rough months. A lot of people here in Rochester, I found that, and in cold places, will take vacation during that time. They'll usually go to warmer areas like Mexico and other places to break it up a little bit. So it is important to have a good working furnace. Make sure you take care of that because that'll keep your house warm. Also, one of the things I found out after moving here to Rochester is that the times where you suffer the most with the cold weather is when you go from your house into your car and then from the car to work. And as we discussed, the average commute time here in Rochester is about 16 minutes. And usually within those 16 minutes, your car is not going to warm up a whole lot. So what I learned is that if you get a car starter, or if you buy a car that already has one, it's even better. But with that car starter, if you can get your car warm by the time you get in, that's gonna save you from a lot of suffering with the cold weather in your car as you go to work or do whatever you need to do. So that's a tip learned from a lot of experience living here in Rochester. And lastly, having a fireplace, especially if it's gas, is really nice here in Rochester or in any place where it's cold, because with a switch or a click, you can get some nice heat. Wood burning fireplaces are great too, but they're obviously a lot more work and you need to have some experience with it. And so, not as convenient, but those can also be very nice during the winter. The second thing that I would change about living here in Rochester is that we have basements, and I grew up without having basements, so it was kind of a new thing for me. And one of the things with basements is that sometimes if you don't have proper drainage or a sump pump or whatever, you can get water. And so to me, I was kind of stressed when I bought my first house, and it's an older home. It didn't have a sump pump, and so I had fortunately a great inspector. He guided me and told me what to do, and making sure I have my gutters extended 6 feet from the foundation of the house, and how to properly take care of the house from the exterior to make sure that you didn't get water. We did have some water issues that we expected. Our inspector told us we probably would, so we just got a sump pump and no problems with that. So if I could, I would change having basements in homes, but a basement can be a fun place to live in the winter, and great place to watch movies or hang out with your family. So I've kind of started to enjoy having a basement, but that was kind of unusual for me when I moved here, when I moved to Rochester. So that's number two. Now, the number three thing that I would change is shoveling. So first couple years I lived here in Rochester, shoveling looked like a lot of fun. I was kind of excited that I would get a little workout and work on my arms. But then I started realizing that this is something that you obviously will just do forever if you live in Rochester. And so it's not as fun as it used to be. The driveway that I have in my house is pretty big, and I can't just push the snow off to one side or the other. I have to push it forward, and then I have to push it to one side. But the good thing is, if you have a snowblower, that will do most of the work. You probably still have to shovel a little bit here and there, but with a snowblower, you do 95% of the work, and they work really well, and that will solve your problems. Or you can just hire someone to shovel for you and take care of all the snow. One positive thing about shoveling that I like is it does get you outside your house, and most of the times when it snows a lot, you're not the only one out there. You have your neighbors out who you probably haven't seen for a while, because in the winter people kind of, come inside their house and don't really go out much, and they kind of hibernate. So it's kind of nice that you can see your neighbors, you talk to them. A lot of times if you see a neighbor struggling, you go out and help them, or vice versa. So that is the one thing about shoveling that I do enjoy. The fourth thing that I would change about Rochester is that we don't have any beaches, because we're obviously in the middle of the country. I grew up in places where you could go to the beach within 30 minutes to an hour, and obviously here in Rochester, that's not the case. We do have several lakes. Rochester was not blessed with as many lakes as you can find in other cities here in Minnesota. But there are definitely lakes, and there's actually one called Cascade Lake that has a little bit of a beach area in it, and it's still being developed. And the goal of this Cascade Lake is to make it where it's a beach, but it's just a lake. So, anyways, there's some other ones here in Rochester. I'll add a list of the places that you can go visit that are lakes, fun places here in Rochester on the video description below. And finally, the fifth thing that I would change here in Rochester, Minnesota is, and I feel bad for saying this because we do have an airport. It's the Rochester International Airport, and the main destinations are Chicago, Atlanta, and Denver as of today. Now, I wish that there were more options as far as where you could fly to from the Rochester International Airport, but the good thing is that there is an airport. It's really close. Anywhere you live in Rochester, it's not going to be very far away. And then the nice thing is that we do have the Minneapolis and St. Paul Airport, which is about an hour and a half, hour and 10 minutes, depending on where you live in Rochester. And it's a straight drive north from Rochester to go to the airport in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And so obviously that's a international airport as well, but you can go to basically anywhere from there. And it's actually, I think it's ranked as one of the top airports here in the US. So that is super nice. Most of the time, you can get a transportation van to take you from Rochester to the airport. That way you don't have to drive and park and worry about that. I'll put the information of those companies that provide those services on the video descriptions below. And hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions about Rochester, Minnesota, things to do, or anything else, feel free to put it in the comments below. And as always, I'm here to help with anything that you need, real estate related or about living here in Rochester. Have a great day.